welcome to the This Week in Astrology video forecast. My name is Benjamin Bernstein. I'm with astroshaman.com. I'm a Western astrologer and a shamanic healer and an awakening activator, and it is my pleasure to bring you the second edition of this weekly video forecast series. So this week we're looking at the week of March 10th, 2014. I like to start with a brief overcap of what's already happening. I guess overview would be a better word than overcap. So let's see what's already happening. We've got a waxing moon. We have 5 retrograde planets, including Pallas Athena, Mars, Vesta, Ceres, and Saturn. We've also got a couple of T-squares in play. One involves Mercury, Saturn, and Pallas Athena. I discussed the meaning of that one on last week's forecast. And we have a real long-term one running 5 months, a big T-square between Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto going through the end of May. And if you're feeling an increasing sense of intensity and challenge in your life lately, as are a lot of people I'm observing, that T-square has a lot to do with that. In fact, we'll be seeing that T-square involved in another aspect pattern this week. So let's dive in with the overview. We have the Virgo full moon as our headline event. It's also got a dainty Sabian symbol on it. We've got Saturn and Mars wielding their influence upon the Sun and Mercury. And we have a potent Thor's hammer aspect pattern. And we've got 2 challenge for growth T-squares. So a lot to talk about this week. And let's dive in and cover each individual day. On Monday, March 10th, we have one event. The moon is conjunct Jupiter at around 6:37 a.m. And that's U.S. Eastern Time, as are all the times I'll be using in this forecast. Jupiter is a planet known for expansion, joy, enthusiasm, celebration, and I know a lot of us don't feel that way much on Monday morning, but this gives you better odds on that. At the very least, maybe some of Jupiter's other meanings will occur to you. Religion, the meaning of life, philosophy, things to do with foreign cultures. All that will be juiced up for a few hours either side of around 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern on Monday morning. On Tuesday, March 11th, we have several events to discuss. We're going to open with Mercury square Saturn. Mercury's at 23 Aquarius and Saturn's at 23 Scorpio. Acting on your intuitive flashes and inspired revelations may run into resistance from more traditional mindsets as Saturn squares Aquarian Mercury. Saturn represents authority. The more you embody yours, the freer you'll be to move forward in your own special way, or as Genesis might sing it, You have your own special way. Just to make the point. Next up, we have a void moon. This is happening around 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And actually with voids, I need to be more precise than that because we need to know right when they start and right when they end. It's happening at 3:51 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. The rule of thumb with void moons is to try not to start major new projects or make major purchases while the moon's void. What that means basically in astrology language is the moon has made its last Ptolemaic aspect to a planet and it's not making any more until it hits the next sign. Ptolemaic just means the 5 major aspects defined by Ptolemy: the conjunction, the opposition, trine, square, and sextile. And if you don't know what those are, then I really can't spend any more time defining them. Any basic astrology book will give you that information beautifully, as will the web. So next up we have Venus quintile Saturn. And Venus is at 5 Aquarius and Saturn's at 23 Scorpio. So under this aspect, Saturn's taking on a more supportive role. Stay open to practical inspiration as you forge your own unique approaches to relationships, creativity, and finances. The next event and our final event for Tuesday, March 11th, is the resolution of that void moon that started earlier. I'm going to roll back and see when exactly that started. 3:51 p.m. when the void moon hit, and that means it's now coming out at 10:09 p.m. as the moon enters Leo. And as the moon enters Leo for about 2.5 days, which is how long it spends in every sign it's in, you can embody more of the regal quality of the king or queen. You can be the performer in the spotlight. You can be the child or the inner child. You can have fun, rest and relaxation and playfulness. Or you can take a little more risk, and hopefully that will be a calculated risk that's worth the risk. And that's all our events for Tuesday. On Wednesday, March 12th, our only event is an aspect pattern. It's called Thor's Hammer. Chris Hemsworth, why don't you come over and show us your hammer? Oh, he's not here. Anyhow, a Thor's hammer is not just a magical weapon wielded by a superhero. It's also an astrological aspect pattern consisting of a 90-degree square and two 135-degree sesquisquares. The one starting today features the multi-year Uranus-Pluto square, focusing on Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess. It peaks on March 16th and ends on March 21st. So, and this applies to you guys as well as you ladies. We all have the feminine and masculine within each of us. Your feminine assertiveness, strategic planning, and practical creativity can all take quantum leaps for the next 10 days. Release what's not working in these areas and let your intuitive flashes guide you as you fine-tune these skills. On Thursday, March 13th, we have three significant events. The first is the Sun trine Saturn. The Sun is at 23 Pisces, Saturn's at 23 Scorpio. The marriage of heaven and earth is made easier under this aspect. This would be a great time to use my core invocation or any other technique that makes you conscious of being pure divine awareness functioning in the physical world. Very briefly, my core invocation can be used as a 10-word shortcut. You just speak to the divine maximum light and divine consciousness that serves highest good, please. And after you say that out loud or mentally, just relax into passive breath awareness, close your eyes, and it might just amaze you how much divine energy starts coming in on the spot. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to astroshaman.com. At the top of the sidebar, there's a purple box that says Heal and Awaken Invocations. Click that. It'll take you to a special page that has articles about how to do this and MP3s that'll lead you through it, and it's all absolutely free. So check it out if that sounds interesting to you. So whatever technique you use, it's a great energy under this aspect. Sun in Pisces trine Saturn to lock all that down. By the way, it's not just a spiritual aspect, because it's also a great time to tangibly manifest your creative inspirations. We also have two T-squares today. The first involves that T-square I already described in the opening, the one with Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto that's going on for 5 months. What's happening is that an asteroid goddess is joining the party. So, the energies of revolutionary transformation receive a new focus as Juno conjoins Uranus and joins the other characters, Uranus and Pluto, rather Jupiter and Pluto, in the T-square. Juno's involvement peaks on March 26th and ends on April 8th. Juno carries quite a variety of meanings, including peace, fertility, and committed relationships. This asteroid goddess also represents sexuality, beauty, the renewal of love, and even betrayal. So, staying attentive to these themes in your life will show you what you need to release. You'll also see what paradigm shifts are needed to enhance your well-being with new expansion, joy, and hope. All that, of course, thanks to Jupiter. What about that other T-square? That's the one that's already started. I talked about it on last week's video forecast and last week's podcast too. It involves Mercury, Saturn, and Pallas Athena, peaking today and ending on March 18th. Basically, this one, Mercury is about communication and learning. Pallas Athena is about feminine assertiveness, as I said, and strategic cunning. Strategic cunning goes nicely with Mercury. And the Saturn square, if you are not real productive and hardworking, can throw a roadblock at you. But if you are disciplined and focused and mature and responsible and you're taking the high side Saturn route, then Saturn can actually act as the wind in your sails and give you Energizer Bunny staying power. So whatever you're doing with your mental work, especially if it's creative and breakthrough, then this T-square can actually be helpful if you use it wisely. Friday, March 14th opens with lunar events. We start with a void moon kicking in at 3:25 a.m. Next up, the moon conjuncts Pallas Athena, and that's happening right around 6 a.m., which means for a few hours either side, you're getting amplification of the energies of the warrior goddess and of strategic cunning and of practical creativity. Next up, The moon enters Virgo and wraps up that void. That's happening at 10:18 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. The moon in Virgo is wonderful for health, for service, and for detail work. Next up, we have Mercury trine Mars. Mercury is at 26.5 Aquarius, Mars at 26.5 Libra. Inspired thinking and communication is smoothly supported. And that's it for Friday. Moving on into the weekend. On Saturday, we have the Sun quintile Pluto. That Sun's in Pisces, Pluto's in Capricorn. To be more precise even, the Sun's at 25 Pisces and Pluto's at 13 Capricorn. Spiritual opening and creative genius receive a powerful sprinkling of pixie dust. Here it comes, look out, as Pluto quintiles the Piscean Sun. Our final day of the week, Sunday, March 16th, is a very busy day, opening with our headline event for the whole week, the full moon in Virgo. So this is shining forth at 1:08 p.m. and it's the moon itself, as it goes full, is in Virgo at 26 degrees and 1 minute. The spotlight is shining on health, service, routines, systems, and the small details that make everything work. This is a great time to make adjustments in any of these areas. As far as aspects, this lunation's most significant aspect is a Saturn sextile. This provides a solid foundation for this Virgo work. A tight Mars semi-sextile adds energy and drive. The full moon Sabian symbol is aristocratic elderly ladies drinking afternoon tea in a wealthy home. This genteel image can be interpreted as the well-deserved enjoyment of abundance. Oh, I forgot an image. The most helpful definition of aristocratic in this context is the best or most able. Elderly implies having lived long enough to have gained the wisdom of experience and reaped its rewards. Ladies, rather than being gender specific, represents feminine receptivity, which has opened to receive prosperity. One can imagine these Virgoan ladies as having tended carefully to their health, prospered through service to others, and successfully managed the details of their lives. They therefore have the time to enjoy the many small pleasures of life, as can we, if we follow their example. Next up, on Sunday, March 16th, a void moon kicking in at 1:09 p.m. Next up after that is a Sun-Mars quincunx. The Sun's at 26 Pisces and Mars is at 26 Libra. A significant energy boost is available for relationships and creativity, but you may need to make some adjustments to benefit from its full power. Spiritual union practices can also be juiced up as Libran Mars quincunxes the Piscean Sun. That void that started earlier today wraps up as the moon enters Libra. That's at 8:46 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. The moon in Libra transmits the energy of relationships and creativity, as in the artist's creativity, as well as balance and harmony. And then the Thor's hammer I talked about earlier this week. Chris, are you there yet? I guess he's making a movie or something. The Thor's hammer aspect pattern, again, that's Pallas Athena, Uranus, and Pluto. It peaks today, here on Sunday the 16th, and it will end on March 21st. And that wraps this week's forecast. Let's take a quick peek at what we'll be covering next week, both in this video forecast and on my audio podcast, This Week in Astrology. We're going to have the Sun entering Aries. That's the spring equinox. Big deal. We'll be talking about the ramifications of that. We'll also be looking at the seasonal chart. I do a chart every time the seasons change, and we'll gain some insight from that. We also have the lunar nodes changing signs. The north node's coming into Libra and the south into Aries, at least with the node system that I use, mean nodes. Ceres is going to conjunct the north nodes as it shifts. That's very interesting timing, and we'll look at that. Mercury is getting a double hit of the same astrological energy. It's going to enter Pisces and conjunct Neptune. That'll be pretty spacey, and we'll talk about how to work with that. Venus is going to quincunx Jupiter and sextile Uranus, and Jupiter is going to square the asteroid goddess Juno. So a lot to talk about next week. It'll be my delight and pleasure to be back here telling you more about it. I hope you'll come and watch. As I close, let me remind you that my name is Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com. I'm an astrologer, a shamanic healer, and awakening activator. If you'll check out my site, you'll see lots of wonderful free resources for you, as well as information on all the services I provide. I do want to quickly note that I am right now running a special 20% off on consultations that focus on the cardinal Grand Cross coming up in late April around 13 degrees cardinal signs. So if you've got anything within a few degrees of that that's sensitive, then you might want to give me a call. This is the biggest energy of the year, very strong, very intense. It's building already, as I mentioned at the start. And if you're feeling that intensity and would like some insight on how to work with it, I'm here to help you. You can also call me at 828-338-9852. Thanks so much. I look forward to speaking with you again next week.